Hey everyone, it's Jason from Kinda Cool, and today we're going to be doing a one life no death run of Trojan on the NES, and we haven't done one of these in a while, so it's going to be fun. And this all started from one of Dad Racer's little short videos where he had some kind of disparaging remarks to say about the old Trojan game, and I thought, you know what, let's dust it off and give it a play. And to play Trojan is the one life Trojan, so we'll talk about that here in a second. But first of all, I'll show how we captured it. We're playing on a modern television through my RGB modded original Nintendo Entertainment System front loader with the original cartridge. That's important when we do these. Into the capture device and on into the Dell laptop through OBS. So, the gameplay of Trojan, you know, it's not the world's best Capcom game. It is a Capcom game. It's one of the early ones like Gunsmoke and the original Mega Man, but it's not as good as either of those games. Let's get that out of the way. And, you know, it's a little buggy. It feels a little buggy as you play it. If you see some kind of graphic pop in and things like that happen from time to time, it's not the capture, it's how the game presents itself. So, just the way it is, and you got to work around it. But the controls are pretty tight. It is an up-the-jump game, I will say that. And I know that's not looked upon favorably, and it's a, you know, one weapon attack, one button does an attack, and one button does a shield, which puts it in an interesting category in the NES. There aren't a lot of games that play that way, which can make it fun, but you know, it feels like it's a little bit underutilized. And you look at this boss character right here, who's the last boss on stage 1 here, and he's pretty fun to play. But if they had more bosses like this game might be more fun. But as it stands, it gets a little plain, and we'll talk about that more as well. And this game actually wasn't originally an arcade game, which I actually never played. And you can see, I've got to do a little comparison here of the arcade version versus the NES. You can see the graphics are definitely a lot more punched up than the NES, which is to be expected, and it's got that very Capcom CPS look and feel to it. If you know that, you know, the Capcom CPS system delivered a lot of really great arcade games. And, you know, I don't have much experience with this one. I didn't come back and play it till later, but had a lot more experience with the NES game. And so we're moving on through this level here as kind of the Snail Boss looking character, and he's got a pretty obvious pattern, so this is a bit of a monotonous area here, so I'm going to work through this as I discuss kind of my history with this game. And, you know, I never bought this game or purchased this game. It's one of those games that you had in your collection as a kid, and you just knew you had it, but you didn't ever actually buy it. I think I might have gotten it from like a trade, you know, where I traded a buddy, and I probably gave him a game that was of lesser quality, and I didn't really push to ever get it back, and neither did he, and so, you know, I kind of inherited the game. And you know what? I had some time to play it and kind of get used to it. And you know, again, it's not perfect, but you know, me being the platformer fan that I am, I found a bit of enjoyment in it. And it actually was my first game that I actually ever one life completed, one life no death. And I kind of did it accidentally. I wasn't trying to do it. I didn't play that way back in the day, but it just so happened I did, and you know, kind of started me down that path. Especially later as a retro game, when you come back and try to do as many of those types of games, one life no death, as I could. So. We're moving through this craggy cliffs level a little bit more here, and you know, you'll see that I get a pretty decent pattern here with these enemies. And again, to the glitchy nature of Trojan, there are times where you can play through this, and sometimes this kind of character that jumps out of the water doesn't even appear, which makes it for a pretty easy playthrough, but you know, a lot less interesting too as well. So I'm kind of glad he popped in this time, so you can at least get a chance to see him here if you haven't played this game. Not terribly difficult again, and you know, if you're thinking, oh no, another one of these one life playthroughs is going to take forever, well, it's really not. This one's going to be pretty short, so if you can hang with me for a little bit here, you'll see the end of the game all the way through. We're going to see us take down this madman looking character, and we're already through stage 2. We're moving at a pretty good clip here, just like how I said we would. And you know, this game has a kind of a futuristic kind of dystopian type vibe to it. They don't stick with it. It's not consistent. Like, you'll see a broken down car in the background and maybe a cityscape, and the next thing you know, it looks like something out of medieval times, or you know, I don't know. They really didn't stick with the theme the way they should. But there are some interesting elements going on here. In this, you know, this particular level can be a little more difficult. So it's not, you know, one of those ones that's usually going to trip you up too much. But if you're gonna probably lose a life, it's usually here. But you know, or maybe the next stage. But I mean, generally speaking, 3 out of 4 times I'm playing this one, I'm taking it down with one life. It's just one of those really ridiculously easy games once you figure it out. Maybe the most easy game to one life, no death on the NES that has name recognition to it. You know, I know there are probably other games that I haven't played yet that may even be easier, but you know, kind of heard about and know about Trojan, and to be able to knock it out this easily, you know, if you wanted to start your one life no death playthrough, this would be a good game to start. And you can see there that you can actually lose your sword and shield, and you're basically using your fists only. But it's another one of those things in the game that's criminally underutilized, and so you don't see it happen that often, and it's usually really easy to reacquire your weapon, so it's kind of like, what? You know, what's the point? But, you know, that's kind of the nature of this game in general, is like, some good ideas, just the follow through can't quite stick the landing in some cases. And so here we are meeting up with our Sprite Swap doppelganger, and you can see once you figure out the attack pattern to take anybody who's basically got a sword and a shield down, they become so easy. It's not even funny. So it's a quick fight. If you blink, you'll miss them. And you'll kind of see that be a theme as we progress through those types of characters when we have to engage them in battle. So you got these sewer lids, and generally you don't have to go down into many of them. There are a couple you have to, but you'll see that in most cases I don't. But I'm going to go down into this sewer right here because there's a P right here, and this P actually doubles your hit intensity from your sword. And you can also find other things, like again, there's hearts here that'll fill up your life and things, but you know, generally you don't have to go get them if you're playing pretty well. But in this particular case, we're going to get this P because now every time we swing our sword, it takes twice the amount of damage on our enemies, so it's going to make the rest of the playthrough even easier than it would have been. We're going to have to go down into this sewer level here to pick up the key because they've got these like this key system, and again, it's very poorly thought out. I mean, it's almost like, what's the point? You'll see that quite a bit because the key is usually incredibly close to wherever the door is. And we'll continue playing through here. We're going to do a little bit of another boss that we've seen from the first part of the game, and again, this guy's probably one of the more interesting ones to engage with because you've got to really use the sword and shield properly there with the deflections, but he didn't pose much threat either. And again, here's the key, and here's where we use it. So, you know, what did that really add to the gameplay? I'm not sure. We'll keep moving through this level here, and you'll see it take some hits here, you know, so it's not like a one life, no death, no hit run. It's not anything like that, but you know, we're never really in any huge danger of dropping a life. And this guy, you know, again, he's monotonous, and his pattern's not at all different from the first time we saw him, but now we're striking twice as hard as we were before, so it's going to move a lot more quickly. And then again, here's the key, here's the door. Not much thinking that has to take place. There's not a lot of puzzle element in this game. And we've already seen this enemy before too. You just pin him down in the corner, and again with the P on the sword, that guy doesn't stand a chance. So we're moving on one of these kind of top-down levels, and this one has a couple interesting elements to it. You can see that the intensity of the types of enemies is ramping up a bit. You can see boss characters kind of showing up and being just kind of level enemies now. This guy, you know, they made him a little bit too easy because you can actually strike his axes as he throws them through the air. So all you really got to do is keep swinging. And they've got these little pods. If you don't do them in the correct order, they don't give you the prizes either. So that's one thing. If you do them out of order, you'll notice that. And we're going to do a little mini boss gauntlet here of enemies we've already seen. But again, the sword's all juiced up and they don't stand a chance. And there we go. Just like that, we're on to the last level. And you're going to see how quickly this one goes. Now keep in mind, this is the 2 phases of the last level of the game. But watch how quickly we get through these. It's almost kind of funny. I mean, I'm walking right, I'm walking right, I'm walking right, I'm walking right. You know, really? You know? So I got him, and here's this guy. Remember, you know his pattern? What did we beat the second to last level in, what, 30 seconds? I don't know what that was, but... And this one's not much different. So we'll watch. You know, there's spots that get a little more difficult than the previous phase, but... That was probably one of the more advanced maneuvers I had to make right there. Between those drop down spikes and the 2 red guys throwing the stuff. So here we go. This is the kind of second to last boss here. And these bricks will harm you if they hit you, so you gotta step back. But again, you come in, take the head and then the body. Take the head and then the body. It's not hard. Alright, so we beat those guys. Now keep in mind, this is the last level of the game. This is the big boss, the big evil baddie. So let's see what he's got. What does he bring to the table battle-wise? Well, there you go. Not much. So that is the end of a one life, no death playthrough of Trojan. We'll let the credits roll here, in case you haven't seen them before. But again, incredibly easy game. Fun game. I don't dislike the game. No hate for Trojan. It's not perfect. But it's one of those ones that warms up your thumbs. It's like Kung Fu. You know, you think you want to play some games, but you really don't want to get into it. Kind of want to get warmed up. You pop in Trojan, pop in Kung Fu. I'm sure everybody has their version. You know, if you have a version like of a game like that, let me know down below. Be curious to hear what everybody thinks that theirs are, but this is definitely one of mine. I always had made up names for these guys when I was a kid. Never really committed to memory what their actual true names were. I called this guy Madman always. I think he's called something else. Goblin is what they call him. Muscler. I guess they come to find out this guy's palette swap guy is actually named Trojan Man. Trojan Man? Not the one you're thinking of, but Trojan. Then we got the second to last boss and the major boss here. I think his name was Achilles, but that's it for Trojan One Life, no death. Hopefully you found this kind of cool, and if you like this, keep an eye on my channel. I'll try to do some more in the future, and maybe you'll find those too kind of cool.